I now call this meeting of the Alabama Commission on Higher Education to order. Like to ask Commissioner Singleton to lead us in prayer this morning.
Let's pray. Father, we just pause this morning to recognize that you're God. And we humble ourselves. We ask your guidance. Help us make right decisions. Give us discernment. And Father, may the people that we serve be blessed. We'll be careful to give you the glory. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Commissioner. Will everyone please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Dr. Purcell, please call roll.
Amy Price.
Here.
Stan Nelson.
Here.
Ann Forbes.
Here.
Jody Singleton.
Here.
Paul Kennedy.
Here.
Larry Turner.
Here.
Rod Scott.
Here.
Michael Shane Spiller.
Here.
Payne Meadows.
Here.
Douglas Ragland.
Here.
Harry Hobb.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Purcell. Everyone should have had time to review the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions? All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. All opposed, like sign. The agenda is approved. Item 4 on the agenda is consideration of the minutes from the March 14th meeting. Everyone should have had time to review those minutes from March. Are there any additions to corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. Opposed, like sign. Minutes are approved. Item 5 on our agenda this morning is the chairman's report. I would like to welcome everyone to our meeting this morning. We're so grateful to be with you guys here in Mobile and on the campus of USA. I'd like to ask if we have any institutional presidents with us this morning. I see President Bonner is here and President Killingsworth from JSU. So we appreciate you making the trip down as well. And before I turn it over to Dr. Bonner for some opening comments, I do want to thank you, Dr. Bonner, Dr. Kent, Nick, your entire team for the hospitality yesterday.
Yes.
It was an amazing visit. And as I thought about spending time on your campus yesterday and having fellowship last night, I kept thinking about the spirit of the university. So we look at a lot of spreadsheets on our agendas. We look at a lot of program descriptions on our agendas. But the thing that you cannot see when we're studying our agenda, very much like our JSU visit, is the spirit of the campus and the spirit of the leadership. And so that's not something we can see in black and white, but I'm getting chill bumps now talking about it. It was really impressive yesterday. And I commend you all on your leadership and your hospitality. And I feel so excited for your students and their families to be able to have such a wonderful experience on your campus. So thank you again for hosting. And Dr. Bonner, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I'm going to ask Dr. Kent to come up. We will be very brief because we've already had the opportunity to welcome the commission yesterday, and we really do appreciate the opportunity to host the Alabama Commission on Higher Education here. But I know we would be remiss if we didn't also thank the faculty, the families, the staff, the other people who are here, including our good friend, Dr. Killingsworth. I ran into him at the bank EMT machine this morning downtown, and he asked me how much money I needed, and that's the sign of a true friend. Let me tell you.
So again, we just want to say welcome. Welcome back to our campus this morning. What an honor it was to spend a little bit of time with you all tonight. Special thank you to our faculty and staff who are here today and who came with us last night. We tried to get our JSU friends to come with us to dinner last night, but the provost just wouldn't let them leave in time to make it to dinner. So they would have been with us too, because we are friends all over the state. We appreciate that friendship as well. So we just want to say thank you again for making the drive down to the Deep South, all the way down to the coast to Mobile. We want to say thank you for spending time and thank you for what you do every single day on behalf of higher education in the state of Alabama. And of course, I have to say a big go Jacks.
Madam Chair, I would like to just add one quick final word. In the early 1990s, when the state was successful in recruiting the automotive industry to Alabama, there were many naysayers. In fact, many people didn't even believe that we were capable of building automobiles. And just last year, Alabama led the nation in exporting vehicles made here in the state of Alabama. 10 years ago, when Mobile was fortunate to welcome an aerospace giant to our community, we were hoping to build 4 planes a month. Today, we're building 10, and in 5 years, we will be building 20, making us the 3rd or 4th largest aerospace city in the world. And I say that in reference to your meeting here today. You are leading the commission during an exciting time in the history of our state. And when we visit with young people, we tell them that their future is brighter than it's ever been in the state of Alabama. And we believe that it's going to be even brighter with a quality education. We're so blessed to have 14 outstanding public universities and more than 24 outstanding community colleges. But we couldn't do our work if we didn't have a commission like the Commission on Higher Education doing its work to make sure we're working hand in glove to take advantage of the opportunities the good Lord has given our great state. So again, welcome to the University of South Alabama. Have a wonderful meeting, and we look forward to your work today and in the years to come. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Two quick comments before we move out of the chairman's report. I also want to thank the AIC staff. So Dr. Purcell, you, Jacinta, Jamarcus, and many, many more that made our mobile meeting possible today. We're on the road, and that requires a lot of work on behalf of the AIC team to be able to get us set up and for us to just be able to show up and participate in the meeting. So thank you, AIC staff, for all that you've done to make this possible today. And then Dr. Purcell, if you'll go back one slide, I just want to quickly thank Dr. Purcell. So I convinced Dr. Purcell to join us for a meeting at the Capstone College of Nursing, just trying to look at all of our health science interests. Enjoyed getting to visit this morning with the nursing leaders here on the USA campus. Obviously, nursing and healthcare and health science is very important to me personally, and it's one of my passions. And so I appreciate Dr. Purcell getting to Tuscaloosa and visiting with us. All right, next item on the agenda is it's time to appoint a nominating committee. As chair, I'm required to appoint a nominating committee to elect a new chair and vice chair for the upcoming year. I would like to appoint the following commissioners to serve on the nominating committee: Commissioner Scott, Commissioner Turner, and Commissioner Forbes. The nominating committee will report on their recommendation at our September 12th meeting. Thank you, commissioners, for agreeing to serve. The executive director's report is item 6 on our agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the first order of business is we have Amy Price, who's actually served our agency for 9 years on the board. Congratulations. And this is her term as chair. So we actually have 2 plaques we'd like to give you today that you can put on your wall. So we can come to your office and claim that you know us somehow. And Jacinta, you can stay with me. We'll do the honors together. And if I could get a photographer, there we are. Yeah, so one of them just thanks her to be chair for this year, and the other is for the 9 years of exemplary service. Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much and congratulations. Um, Commissioner Price or Chair Price will actually serve her term in on beyond her termination date. She can stay on the board as long as you like until they appoint another person. So it could be the next 4 years you could be doing this, but you get the plaque now, just in case you're not at the next board meeting. So, well, thank you. We have some new employees, and I guess they could stand up also. This is the Communication and Government Relations Coordinator. She took Margaret Gunter, who was placed after a long career. And she just graduated from one of these other schools up the road. Has a lot of experience in public relations and everything with her own company. And actually won a lot of awards for different things. And one of them is a work-based learning best practices project. So she's not only a good writer, but does a lot of good reporting and I've seen her statistical stuff. And related to that, this is our research fellows. We have AIC fellows, and those of you who are faculty or students in the room, if you want to do a research project or do something statewide with some of our data or whatever, let us know. We actually will provide you opportunities to do that. We actually pay if I like the project. If it's nothing I don't like, we may not pay, or may pay less. But anyway, there are some opportunities to expand and become a AIC fellow. We had 2 AIC fellows actually finish and got their doctorate this year. And of course, Jessie Lynn Nichols, I just mentioned, and Deanna Goodwine. And this is their dissertation topics, which are so exciting to people like me, maybe to some of you in the room. So anyway, there's new research on the horizon out there somewhere. Nicholas Bolden, who's actually an associate professor at Columbus State. He's worked for us as a fellow, and we sort of gave him another title, sort of a little bit bigger than that for the years he's worked with us. But he's a big publisher kind of guy. But the exciting thing for those of us in our office is that he has a new book coming out that he's the editor of, Bridging the Gap: Workforce Development by Nicholas Bolden, an AIC fellow, and he was nice to some of the staff, and we now all have a chapter in his book. So that's pretty cool. Just in case this day job doesn't work out, I'll have an opportunity to promote myself to something. Natalie Miller, she's a research fellow at the Hoover Institution. If y'all don't know the Hoover Institution, it's at Stanford, and it's Condoleezza Rice's thing. Condoleezza Rice, of course, is an Alabama saint and has had great experience in federal and public service. And so she's been doing a lot of work with workforce, prisons, education, and those kind of things using our data and everything like that. So she's still with us doing things. And we have summer interns. Some of you are here today, but we have Tegan Cabell. She's at Tuskegee University as a senior in architecture, and she's worked for us for several years. DJ Harris has been here for 2 years now. He's a junior in computer science, and we love to have computer science people in the office because one day we might need to use a computer. Victoria Johnson, she's new. She's at Tennessee State University. She's a senior in biology, but because of that biology thought process, she does a great job of organizing stuff for us this summer. And I actually met a vice president at Tennessee State at a conference the other day, and I told her how great she was, and now she's going to hopefully hire her for this next year in her senior year in her office. So that's exciting. Daniel Petway, he's here today. He's returning from Trenholm State in some graphic design. Arnisha Smith is at the office answering phones for us, but she's getting a degree in nursing, doing well. And Kalisha Ward, she's new. She's a high school student, actually, at Wetumpka High School, and is doing a great job for us. So that's what we do in the summer. One thing we did this summer, though, is we got to be at a bill signing. Just me and Stephanie. Stephanie, raise your hand. There's Stephanie and I. I'm the guy in the middle that's not smiling. That's what I bring to every picture. But anyway, it was a good event. This is for the athletic trainer bill, which is Stephanie will talk more about, but it's a good opportunity, and we're glad that they invited us. We helped them write the bill. We'll say at the last second, they took out the colleges and universities. It was going to be there's a shortage of athletic trainers, and we were going to do a student loan repayment for anybody that had to go back and get a master's so they could be licensed in that field. And at the last second, there was a change that left it just to the high school people. But hopefully I can add it back in next year. But I know that there are shortages at the schools, the universities too. So that was exciting. We have something else that's pretty exciting, and we have a couple of people in the room that'll be involved in this, and it's called the Pathway to Progress Initiative. It's basically designed to help communities that actually have tried to do everything right to build the human capital and to build their economy in their area, but perhaps they just don't have the perfect alignment of talent and everything. So what we're doing is, based on statistical analysis, identified a couple areas in the state to give them some a boost and support. And we have a couple universities that are in the first track of this. And we're going to start with Troy University, which is right here. And what the research basically said is this region has done a great job of producing associate's degrees for a long time, but they have actually a statistical shortage of bachelors. And you really, in the modern economy, need that. So as the industry comes in, they're going to look for managers and stuff like that, in addition to the good talent they have down there. So Troy will be providing people with an associate degree that lives in those communities an opportunity to go to Troy at a great discount. And we have other scholarships that are for high demand, high wage programs, and that money can be stacked on top of that. So it's a good opportunity. Jacksonville State is in the east. They had the similar situation where there was a good production of associate degree holders, but we need some more bachelors in that community. They come from a different place. Southeast was always agriculture. The East actually had a lot of manufacturing for a long time, and then that dwindled away when everybody went overseas to make clothing and do those things. So they got to the same place economically, but they're on the verge of possibly something good happening. So we want to support that. And then in the North region, as you know, the North region, everybody thinks they're the wonderful wonder child, especially our board members who are from up there. But there's most of those counties that are near Huntsville have benefited from the fact that there's Redstone Arsenal and all the businesses and jobs, except there's one little area in these two counties, and we're going to concentrate specifically in just two counties up there. The rest of the place is doing fine, but this one little area is not benefiting from that big exciting thing. And here's basically how it works. You know, life cycle of an economy, and I'm going to use my hands here. This may not make sense, but you basically start out as an economy that has low levels of education, and you have low wages and not a lot of job security. And then the goal is the more education you get, your economy becomes more stable, and it economically is more viable for you. And so at some point, you want to get a lot of our communities over there. Now in Alabama right now, we only have a few counties. I mean, a few communities that are at the high levels of education and have a strong workforce, and we need to get there. And of course, those are the usual suspects, the Huntsvilles, the Mountain Brook, over the thing in Birmingham and stuff. And then you'll sort of see the counties that we'll be concentrating on. I have some folks here that may want to say something. I know that I asked somebody from Troy to perhaps talk about that opportunity. We will come forward and say something.
I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of Troy and Dr. Hawkins and all of us. We're already looking at how to implement this, but just the continued support for the Wiregrass region and what we're trying to do for that region is just greatly appreciated. And so we'll be working closely with you to implement all this. But, you know, thank you for the research and the opportunity to get us there.
Yeah, well, thank you. Each of the communities will get $250,000 to use to help with people with associates, but how they do it will be slightly different. There's been talk about possibly doing it actually in Dothan, where there's a large population, with perhaps a cohort kind of initiative to make sure they graduate. Don, do you have any thoughts? You're here. I didn't invite you to speak, but if you want to say anything, all presidents will stand up and speak if they get a
You
chance.
give a president an open mic, they'll take it. No, Dr. Purcell and I were able to talk earlier this week, and he told me the good news beforehand, but we're so excited. We brought him up and we had a kind of a retreat out in the middle of the woods. And we talked about this. We talked about our issues in our region and our role in the region as a regional state institution, and how we work together to get more workers out into the workforce, credentialed workers. And we're so excited to be on the first part of this and look forward to what it will bring, not only to our region, but the state as well. But again, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. And again, it's going to be based on what they see on the ground. We're going to give them sort of a general corpus of things and rules, the rest of it is their creativity and what they know about their communities. We have another update. Last board meeting, you heard a little bit about apprenticeships. Well, we actually got a $12.5 million grant that AIC will be administering for the next 4 years to basically help other states build up their apprenticeship program. So our staff will be traveling out and doing those things. And as you know, we do what campuses do. We charge fees for that, so we get 3%. That's important. And then I calculate that out, and that helps us provide other services to campuses. So we're excited for the apprenticeship program and the opportunity to have other funds available, making our own money. I do want to mention how funding works in higher education and how we compare. We do this every year, and the campuses keep telling me not to do this, but it compares us to the rest of the country. And it basically says that in Alabama, we have more than double the national average in tuition revenue, which is, do we overcharge our students? Maybe. Do we have a lot of out-of-state students that sort of mess up the math here? I mean, there's all kind of conversations I've had with folks about this. But on paper, it does look like we are charging a lot. And a lot of it's because of the way our structure works. In Alabama, the school board, the trustees get to decide tuition. And in most states, the central office decides the tuition, and we succumb to political pressure to not raise tuition. But during those bad years after the 2008 recession, the institutions were allowed to up it and provided greater stability than what happened in other states during that time. Appropriations were actually pretty good too. We're above the national average, or right at it. And if you add both the appropriations and the tuition, we're still quite ahead. We're actually fourth in the country in both of those combined. So we're a very healthy financial state for our campuses. And then the big thing is what percentage of the cost is student share. And right now in Alabama, 58%. So we're sort of in the top 10 of those who charge more to students than receive money from the state. So something to think about. The other one is financial aid. Even though we have higher tuition, we are like sixth in financial aid with only 2.6% of our appropriations coming for financial aid. We will have to increase that this year, probably, because the federal government is dropping Pell Grant about $1,500 a person. That was the big plan when everybody voted, was that we would bring the stuff back to the states. Doesn't look like the money's coming with us. So we have to make some commitments to make sure that our students who did everything we asked them to do, other than have, come from a wealthy family, to help them build an economy for this state. And for those of us that went to school in the 70s, which is a long time ago for some of you, ancient history, but 70% Pell Grant back then could pay for 70% of the cost of attendance. And now tuition is so high that a Pell Grant only pays about 40% of the cost of tuition only. So it is a very different contract with America that we had back in the 70s when everything was nice and disco was on the radio. So, and then the other one is good is we do a lot of research. This may be impacted by the cuts in the federal government again, especially UAB is going to be impacted $41 million alone by reduction in NSF grants, your ability to do pass-throughs, like I mentioned, how AIC benefits. So that is a concern, but we actually do quite well. And the only other, the state I'm always worried about is Mississippi is #1 in this category of the southern states. And we used to be able to always say, thank God for Mississippi, but evidently they give a little more money for research. But maybe it will work out for our things. With that, Madam Chair, we are back to discussion items.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Purcell. The first discussion item on the agenda will be presented by Dr. Dolan, the 2025 legislative session recap.
Thank you, Chair Price. Good morning, Commissioners. The 2025 legislative session ended May 14th, and the following slides that I will share with you will provide information about AIC's fiscal year of 26 budget, supplemental appropriation, and status of our proposed bills. I would like to take a moment, though, to say that we genuinely appreciate your support in all of our efforts with our bills and submitting programs and activities to legislation each year. This year, I had the privilege of joining Dr. Purcell as he visited with our senators and our representatives in establishing support for our bill's sponsors, as well as committee chairs. And I want to say that it gave me not only a better understanding, but also a deeper appreciation of all that Dr. Purcell does for us at AIC, and especially with this perspective. So for the first slide, oh, I did not realize okay. There we go. So for the first slide, this is where for the Act 2025-270 ETF budget shows the institutions of higher education. And you will see that ultimately we had a 6.64% increase. And for other slides that follow this, it will give you the fiscal year 25 compared to 26 for you to see that change of value. This is our AIC ETF budget overall for our specific primary budget divisions of programs and activities, so that we have a 19.6% increase that was awarded to us. And to break this down, the next two slides will show you the subsets of those for the budget line items. You will see that here in red, we did have a decrease of the $746,750 given to AMSTEP program. However, we want to make sure you know that we do have $2.5 million available balance in that fund still to be spent. If you recall, we had asked for the AMSTEP to be changed to LaCia, and you'll see in a moment that did not get followed through, and we will present it again next year. But athletic trainers will be part of this as well. So we do have funding to show that support in that effort, and hopefully it will come back again and that we will spend that $2.5 million and then some. For the next slide, you see we have the remaining budgets. You might can tell there's a light green. Some of those are the new programs. I'm going to show you those specifically in just a moment. But here we did have Scottsboro Boys Museum removed from our budget line item. However, it's important for you to see in our supplemental appropriation that was allocated to us of the Judge Horton Civil Justice Learning Center, that $1.7 million, there is the Scottsboro Boys Civil Rights Museum as part of that program. So they will receive funding. It's just been changed to a different allocation. So here is more visible for you to see actually what happened with our budget in comparison to last year. The first section I have for you is the increase. We did receive $23,939. We did not ask for an increase this year, so we appreciate every bit that we did get. This section in purple, those are of our scholarship programs. So we were given the $500,000 for each of those. We're very appreciative of. And these are some of our pass-throughs that were given increases this year. And as Dr. Purcell refers to, our 3%. So we welcome those increases as well. We had new line items added to our budget. And the re-engage of $1.935 million, that is something that we have been receiving the last 2 years in supplemental funding. We received 4.5 each year with a total of 9, and we've already expended some of that money to our students receiving the grant. But this is important to us to be a line item now so that we can further continue that program. And of course, the Pathways to Progress that Dr. Purcell just shared with you. And we have the $8 million that was put in our budget for the Law Enforcement Officers Family Scholarship, and $250 for Best and Brightest STEM Pilot. And again, the decrease that I had just referred to earlier. To give you an idea of what happened now, these two here, actually the athletic trainer, it was not ours that was submitted, but as Dr. Purcell alluded to earlier, we were asked to assist with this. And it is for those with a master's degree in athletic training. We will be using the AMSTEP funds for those who work in public K-12 school or school system. We have a presentation on that shortly to be more specific about our plans for that program. And then for the Move On When Ready, this is something we wanted to make sure you were aware of as well. It was not our bill, but we are involved heavily. It has been told as Act 2025-412 that AIC's executive director will administer the fund, and we will work along with ACCS, ALSD, with our Council of Presidents in establishing the rules for this program. And this is something that is to begin of July 1 of next year to give us that time allotment to make those decisions and implement the program. Now, for our 3 bills that we did propose, we had Reengage, LaCia, and Hunger Free Campus. They did go through the House, but unfortunately they were failed to be heard on the Senate floor, along with several other bills that day. And hopefully, we will have better luck with that in this next session. And of course, the law enforcement scholarship was also something that we were allocated ETF and would be managing, but it did not go through either. And with that, Madam Chair, that's our legislative update.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dolan. Next discussion item, next discussion item will be presented by Dr. Hood, the 2024 Employment Outcomes Report.
All right, thank you, Chair Price. Good morning, Commissioners. I want to talk with you briefly about the Employment Outcomes Report. A copy of that report is available at your seat. There's also a copy of an online version of the report available on our homepage. But I want to follow up on our bus tour last night, seeing those facilities and seeing all the good work that's going on campus and just seeing the new medical facility at the end. I think it was a good reminder for me personally that we work in a profession that profoundly changes lives. And I think that's evident in everything that we're doing. And not only do you see it on campuses like South Alabama, but you also see it in research. And, we say that higher education is a gateway to a better life, and research proves that. Individuals with higher education credentials generally have improved health metrics, longer life, more civic engagement, and several other individual and societal factors listed on this chart here. But when you ask students, why are you going to school? Why are you going to get your education? They don't tell you because I want to be able to vote more or I want my cholesterol numbers to be better, right? Why do they go to school? To make more money and get better jobs, right? And this report that we're going to see today proves that and it's based on actual research from linking our data to employment data. But it shows that as your education increases or advances, your income also advances. Before we get into that, I want to kind of touch on what Dr. Purcell mentioned earlier about the Pathways to Progress project that we're working on to promote baccalaureate degree production in certain areas of the state. And I want to reference a study by Georgetown University's Center for Education and Workforce. Their research says that by 2031, the number of good jobs in the U.S. will grow and 85% will require post-secondary education. Now, the way Georgetown University defines a good job is 60% of what the median annual income is for that age group. And the reason they use 60% is to build in growth opportunities, promotions, opportunities for advancement, those types of things. So this is really a good job is 60% of what the median annual income would be for that age group. So when you look at that, the report also says that by 2031, there are different pathways to a good job. When you think about pathways to a good job, 66% of those pathways will be at the baccalaureate level, 19% will be at the associate level, and then 15% will be at the high school level. Does that make sense? Now let's look at this way. Look at Alabama's current degree attainment, and this is from the 2023 5-year American Census Survey. I had the name for that, but it escapes me. But anyway, so when you look at that, 28% of our population has a bachelor's or higher, 10% associate degree, 15% some college no degree, and then 38% high school. Now look at that when you compare that with the study from Georgetown University. That's the distribution I just spoke about, right? The 66%, the baccalaureate degree pathway. When you look at it like that and you compare and you make that reconciliation between those two metrics, you see that 28% of the state population has a bachelor's degree or higher, but by 2031, 66% of those jobs will require a bachelor's degree or higher. So what that means is that roughly, and again, assuming this study holds up and it's true, roughly 75% of the working age population, 25 to 64, will not be qualified for 66% or 2/3 of the jobs by 2031. Does that make sense? And so that's why under Dr. Purcell's leadership, we're reaching out to these regions throughout the state to try to promote baccalaureate degree production because we feel like that's going to be the future of our workforce. Okay. Any questions about that? All right, let's jump into the employment outcomes report. Again, as I mentioned, this is why students go to school, is to get better jobs and make more money. But this report that you'll see is based on real data. It's not based on aggregates. It's what we do at AIC is we take our degree data that we collect from the universities, we match it with quarterly wage data from the Department of Labor, and we figure out what our graduates make at 1 and 5 year intervals. And we've been doing this for a while, and we're starting to see some trends in the data. But it looks at their level of education, students' level of education, their academic discipline, and then their retention at those 1 year and 5 year intervals. And what we can see, we start to see here, this is the percentage of Alabama employment or retention after 5 years. And you can see how these look for the different academic levels. And you can see that the undergraduate certificates and the associate degrees are higher. And that's generally because most of those students are at the community college level and they're resident Alabama folks. About 95% of those degrees are from Alabama, or at least students from Alabama. If you look at the bachelor's degree and higher degrees, those percentages start to get lower. And then at the doctoral levels, they start to get even lower. And that's because those levels have higher percentages of non-resident students, international students, which you'd expect there. So. But that's what it looks like. And we've seen across the board that we generally don't keep our non-resident students after 5 years. Most of those return to their home state. And this chart looks at that. You can look at those different academic levels by residency. And this is for the 2017 cohort 5 years after graduation. So you can see that for those non-resident students, most of them do go back to their home state. We also look at this employment outcomes report by academic discipline. And so this is the on the left-hand side of your slide, it looks at the highest retention by academic discipline for the associate degrees for 2017. The green dollar signs reflect the higher earning disciplines. The red dollar signs reflect the lowest earning disciplines in their retention rates. And then the numbers are the number of students in that cohort. But you can see for the associate degree level, it's interesting to me because the disciplines with the higher retention rate tend to earn more, and the disciplines with the lower retention rates tend to earn less. But I want to particularly point out this in this next slide with the baccalaureate degrees, same thing. The green dollar signs reflect the highest earning disciplines, and then the red dollar signs reflect the lowest earning disciplines. But I want to point out engineering at the lower right-hand section of this slide. Engineering is one of our largest cohorts in this group. They're actually the highest earning discipline throughout our report. Since we've been doing it, they've been the highest earning by far, but yet we don't retain many of those students. And I've received questions about why do we not retain those students? And anecdotally, we think that they go to the Texas and Louisiana petroleum industry. But I think that's something that we need to look into further as a commission and try to find out where those engineering students are going and how we can recruit them and keep them in state. And I would imagine if it was not for the areas like Huntsville, that percentage would be a little worse than it is. Okay. Let's look at the average salary by degree level. And I want to make some comparisons between the degree levels here. This is if you look, this is again 2017, 5 years after graduation. The associate degree level is the average salary was $48,649. The baccalaureate degree was $58,922, 28% more, right? So baccalaureate degrees make a little more than associate degrees. Bachelor's degrees make 26% more than master's degrees make 20% more than baccalaureate degrees. And then doctoral professional make 106 more than bachelor's degrees. So when you start to put this information together, you can see there is a definite direct relationship between an individual's level of education and his or her income. Okay. Just some takeaways from this report with regard to retention. Alabama residents are 3 times more likely to remain in the state following graduation. That's just the way it is. We found that most of these students go back to their home state. The lower academic levels like certificates and associate degrees are more likely to remain in state. But again, that's primarily because more of those students are resident students. And then with regard to salary, as we mentioned, higher academic levels consistently have higher salaries. But when you look at those top earning salaries, about 6 out of 10 are in the STEM discipline, engineering technologies, health professions. So those are where the higher salaries are. So, Madam Chair, that concludes my report. Are any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Hood. Any questions, comments? All right. Thank you so much. We'll move into our decision items. Items number 8 on the agenda. Each decision item will be voted on individually. Any questions may be directed to the staff presenter. Our first decision item A will be presented by Ms. Arcola Petway.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This item can be found on page 6 of your agenda packet. So during the 2025 legislative session, lawmakers passed the Alabama Act 2025-337, authorizing AIC to establish the Alabama Athletic Trainer Loan Assistance Program. Eligible athletic trainers who hold a master's degree can now receive federal student loan assistance up to $7,500 per year or $3,750 per semester worked. They can receive this assistance for a maximum of 4 consecutive years. Implementation of this new program will begin this fall 2025 semester. The purpose of the Loan Assistance Program is to encourage recruitment and retention of licensed athletic trainers at qualifying public K-12 schools or school systems within the state of Alabama, to provide federal student loans assistance to eligible athletic trainers through our current student loan repayment program, the Alabama Math and Science Teacher Education Program, to establish eligibility requirements and procedures for these participants, and to also develop an accountability and an evaluation plan. So on our next slide here, you'll see a brief explanation of the approval process. Once the proposed administrative procedures are preliminarily approved by the Commission today, the proposed procedures will be filed with the Legislative Service Agency. It will also be published in the Alabama Administrative Monthly for 45 days for interested parties or the general public to make any comments. At the September's Commission meeting, the proposed administrative procedures will be brought back to the Commission to grant final approval. The certified administrative procedures will then be filed with the Alabama Procedures Office and will go into effect a minimum of 45 days after the certification notice is published. And with that, Madam Chair, the staff recommends that the administrative procedures, staff recommends the Commission to grant preliminary approval of proposed administrative procedures for this new chapter.
You've heard the staff recommendation. The chair entertains a motion to approve.
So. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Petway.
Thank you.
Our second decision, item B, will be presented by Dr. McGill. Final approval of repeal and new rule within the administrative procedures for academic program review.
All right, thank you, Chair Price. I've been telling you all this day was coming for a little while, which is the last day that we are bringing forward new procedures related to academic program review. We've been working on this project probably for about 2 years to clean up some of the old procedures that have been on the books for, in this case, almost 30 years. And it was well overdue for procedures. So if the Commission gives final approval today, this will be the end of the work, and we will have a functioning list of well over 100 definitions that are now arranged in a much more user-friendly way in alphabetical order. These are obviously intended for our institutions to know what processes that we use and how to engage with the Commission. But we also hope that this will be a useful tool for the commissioners and for the general public to understand how higher ed in Alabama defines and organizes itself. The process for revising these definitions has followed the LSA review process. So you all unanimously approved preliminary revision and repeal of the existing and replacement with the new rule back at your previous meeting. It then went up for a public comment period, and we did receive some public comments. And those were primarily from our stakeholders. So we've been going around the state to meetings this spring and saying, did everyone see the definitions? Do we need to tweak anything? And we've been very much engaged with our stakeholders the whole time that we've been revising our procedures. So we received a couple of relatively minor additions that made sense. So we have a new definition for faculty, for university, and you all have probably seen the term senior institution. We decided we would just make it clearer for everyone and stick with the university. And then there were a few tweaks, and otherwise the document is largely similar to what you all approved at your last meeting. If you approve it today, it will be certified with the Legislative Services Agency, and then it will become effective 45 days later. We are now also producing guidance documents based on all of the new rules and the new definitions. And so we are hoping that the institutions will continue to benefit from the work we've been doing. I know that Commissioner Turner wanted to mention, say a few words. I don't know if you all have a microphone over there, though.
We can arrange that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just wanted to quickly say, as the chair of our academic affairs, none of our commissioners have served on this, past that have rotated off and currently. It has been an effort. And I have to first say, I always said when I was a principal and superintendent, whoever was located in the front office, and that's in anything, sets the tone. So I have to say to Dr. Purcell for what he did in directing the staff, and then certainly Dr. McGill to get this done. It's been a monumental task. I will use that word. Any of the commissioners, we've had meetings by Zoom, we've met present. It's been a real effort, and certainly to do everything that had to be done to get all the stakeholders on the same page to get to this point. And I must admit, when we first started, I didn't see this day if the Board of the Commissioners approved this today. But I do want to say thank you so much to the staff that worked endless hours to make this happen, and certainly to Dr. McGill for what she did. So just a huge thank you. It's something that needed doing for many years. And if we get it today, it will be to that point. So I'm grateful to everybody that had a part in this to make this come to fruition.
Unless there are additional questions, staff is recommending approval of the proposed new rules.
All right, you've heard the staff recommendation. Is there a motion?
I make such a motion.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Dr. McGill. We will now move into item C, academic programs, decision item 1, which is presented by Dr. McGill.
Thank you, Chair Price. We are first presenting a recommendation to approve the Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity from Athens State University. They do have their dean here who can answer questions if there's anything that you all want to know about the program. The Athens State is bringing forward this proposal to split out a concentration that's currently offered within their Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. And the concentration focuses on cybersecurity. Therefore, we've added an extra condition that you'll see for maintaining the viability in the existing BS degree for computer science. I don't think that is going to be a problem for them. You will also notice that in growing the program into a standalone degree, there are some additional expenditures they're expecting that we feel will make it a high quality program. They're predicting a new faculty member would be needed in year 3, and that's due to increased enrollments. They also want to enhance their library collections and do specialized accreditation through the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. The program is in collaboration or as part of the overall Athens State recognition from the National Security Agency and Homeland Security as a National Center for Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense Education. So this would allow them to continue growing that strong program and create feeders for some of their graduate programs in related fields. And staff is recommending approval for this program.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The next item is item number 2, presented by Dr. McGill, Jacksonville State University, Doctor of Science in Emergency Management.
Thank you, Chair Price. And this one requires a little additional explanation. It's not your typical new program proposal. You see, it's a substantive modification. And in this case, with the proposal from Jacksonville State, they're obviously here to answer any questions you may have. They are proposing to modify their doctoral program to have a step out option. And what that means is students who are intending to seek the Doctor of Science in Emergency Management obviously enrolled in that program because they wanted to get their doctorate, but sometimes things happen and students are unable to complete the doctoral dissertation or other research activities. So this option has all of the same coursework as the doctoral program, but a reduced number of hours in research. So where the doctoral program has 60 hours, this advanced master's program has 30 credit hours, most of which are in the doctoral program coursework. So it would add a new program to the academic inventory at the master's level, but we didn't want to put viability conditions on it because the idea is to encourage the students to continue in the program to their doctoral completion rather than asking Jacksonville State to reach a minimum number of master's students completing the program, right? The master's is an option that is available only for some students that choose not to go on and complete. So the Doctor of Science began producing graduates in 2022. Those students who enroll in that program already have master's degrees. That's part of their admission. And Jacksonville State does offer a master's in emergency management. And this proposed step out option shares no coursework with that existing master's program because it is again comprised of the doctoral coursework. So staff is recommending approval for this substantive modification, but I'd be happy to take questions or invite Jacksonville State to answer any questions you may have.
You've heard the recommendation for approval.
Had a question. I know it's probably an analysis of how many were stepping out prior to this that made you offer this. Is there a high percentage?
I don't think it's a particularly high percentage. The graduate numbers, I think they're averaging about a little over 4 graduates per year in the doctoral program. But I will ask them if they can speak to how many students might have benefited if this program had existed already.
I don't have the actual number of how many would have benefited, although Dr. Islam is on virtually and can answer that. But I think one of the big things is, we may have students come into this program who have a totally different background than emergency management because this is a fairly new field. And so as some of these may have jobs or may have opportunities where they begin working and they just can't get to the finish line in the time in which we need them to, this is an opportunity to offer a degree within the field, which is what they, were pursuing. so that they can have at least that educational credential moving forward. So Dr. Islam, do you have exact numbers of how many might have benefited from this particular program?
Yeah, we currently have like a similar kind of attrition rate like other doctorate program in the country. Like it's about between 40 to 50% attrition. So this Step Out Masters is for those who spend their time and resources to get the doctorate, but for some reason unable to finish the doctorate. So this would give them an option to at least have some recognition to finish the coursework and get a master's degree, advanced level master's degree, finishing the coursework, 30 hours.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
And I
The
think
chair will
I-
entertain a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, like sign. The substantive modification for this program is approved. The next item on the agenda is item number 3, presented by Dr. McGill, the University of Alabama, Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering.
Thank you, Chair Price. Staff is, thank you, recommending approval for the University of Alabama Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering. You will see that this program does not require any new funds to implement. That's because it builds on existing master's and doctoral level coursework that's offered in related departments and degree programs, including chemical engineering, biology, and mechanical engineering. University of Alabama does plan to develop 3 new courses. And we've heard from our peer reviewers in the Council of Graduate Deans that this will help meet an industry need. There is only one other related program offered in the state by the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And this program will require work-based learning of its students to complete a practicum that will help them find ready employment in industry or be accepted into a related doctoral program. Staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Item number 4 is being presented by Dr. McGill, University of Montevallo, Bachelor of Business Administration in General Business.
Thank you, Chair Price. Staff is recommending approval also for the Bachelor of the Business Administration and General Business at the University of Montevallo on the basis that this is generally a core offering in the College of Business. Usually colleges of business do have a targeted business administration or management degree, which Montevallo does. And this offering grows out of that as a more interdisciplinary general business offering that can accommodate more flexible credits. This is particularly valuable for any adult completion students or to accommodate institutional partnerships like the one Montevallo is pursuing with the Montpellier Business School, which is based in France. There are no new funds associated with the program because the degree does allow all of the existing offerings to be reconfigured into a more flexible degree. We have added an extra condition that the existing BBA and management maintain its viability, but we're not expecting that to be a challenge for the program. And with that, staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Item number 5 is being presented by Dr. McGill, University of South Alabama, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration in Marketing.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Price. This recommendation is for a substantive modification. Again, what the University of South Alabama is doing is splitting their existing marketing degree, which has two concentrations. One is marketing management and the other is professional sales. And the professional sales degree, our concentration has been offered since 2013. They have, at least within the last 5 years, reached average number of graduates of 10 or 11 graduates per year. And so they are seeking to elevate the degree program into its own standalone degree. Based on the program performance to date, we agree that the program is viable. And so also is the existing marketing management concentration, which is what would be retained at the SIP code 521401. That's where the program is currently, and then there would be a new program split off. And there are no other standalone undergraduate professional sales degrees within the state, although several other institutions do offer non-degree certificates or concentrations in professional sales. So this would be, an opportunity for Alabama students to pursue a full degree program. And with that, staff is recommending approval.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. Is there a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Program is approved. Next item number is 6, presented by Dr. McGill, University of West Alabama, Master of Science in Exercise Science.
Thank you, Chair Price. The Master of Science in Exercise Science is growing out of an existing program offering at the University of West Alabama. Currently, this is a concentration within the Master of Science in Physical Education, which is a non-teacher certification program that they are seeking to create additional coursework that is more specific to the field of exercise science and would also develop a concentration in strength training. We did receive some comments from the graduate dean peer reviewers who said, we want to understand a little bit more about how this program is put together, how they're going to field the coursework, and that it's going to meet the accreditation standards. So you'll notice that there is an additional condition, relatively common for programs that have specialized accreditation, that this program will need to go through that process, and we'll be checking in on it to make sure it's on track to be accredited through the Commission on Accreditation and Allied Health Education. The commission within that is the Commission on Accreditation for Exercise Science. We do know that there are adequate faculty at the University of West Alabama who they have the intent to deliver it almost fully online, but they are seeking to add additional costs for a graduate assistant, and that graduate student would take on some of the undergraduate coursework that existing faculty are delivering, and therefore free up the faculty to do the graduate coursework for the new program, including the development of new courses and the new concentration. So with the extra conditions for the existing program to maintain viability and the specialized accreditation, staff is recommending approval for this program.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. The chair entertains a motion to approve.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item number 7. Thank you, Dr. McGill. Item number 7 is being presented by Dr. Kristen White, Calhoun Community College, Associate of Applied Science and Diesel Technology.
Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you, Chair Price. This program will prepare graduates for employment as diesel technicians, which is included on the, which is included on the 24-25 statewide demand list. Students will learn how to repair, service, and maintain light-duty diesel vehicles, heavy commercial vehicles, agricultural equipment with implements, and heavy equipment and machinery. The program will share key resources with Calhoun's existing automotive program. They will also share a facility, and as the program grows, they will utilize another facility. A local Ford dealership has offered to offer co-op opportunities for students, as well as assist the college in finding equipment and vehicles for use in the program. And this partnership will be particularly important because it will give students the opportunity to learn on relatively new vehicles and equipment, which is going to give them a head start when they're looking for a job. Professional licensure is not required for entry-level employment, but the program will incorporate preparation for industry-recognized certifications, including the Automotive Service Excellence certification, which will make the graduates more employable. The proposal projects $966,000 in new funds over the first 7 years and will require an additional $280,000 in funding. The initial funding has already been established through a 2023 bond issue that provided over $1 million for program improvements and developments of new instructional programs. So because of the need of this program and local industry input, this one has been given a priority for those funds. Calhoun projects the program to generate $1.1 million through tuition over the first years of the program. And staff is recommending approval of this program.
All right. You've heard the staff recommendation for program approval. Is there a motion?
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next item is item number 8, presented by Dr. McGill. Substantive modification to academic program inventory, Southern Union State Community College.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Price. You all had seen one that was similar to this at the last meeting when we talked about revising the inventory for Coastal Alabama Community College. And so we want to, again, recognize the hard work that Southern Union State Community College has done to clean up their inventory. So some of these proposed changes are substantive, meaning that we are taking one program and making multiple programs out of them. And this is happening because obviously they're seeing growth and a desire from industry to have more specialized degrees. And there is an interest from the state in being able to track graduates from their field of study into the employment outcomes like we saw earlier from employment outcomes reports. When there are multiple degrees under the same CIP code, it's harder for everyone to track those outcomes and also see how many individuals we have in the pipeline. So let me give you a brief overview of the programs that are being split out. So the first is an associate in occupational technology. This is a program that has been on the books for a while, and it has had 3 concentrations which are very diverse. You will see that this degree includes cosmetology, heating and air conditioning, and automotive service technology. The associate of occupational technology is, I would say, not a degree that we see as often as it was more popular in the past. And it includes a kind of major program and a minor program. And so Southern Union is saying we would really prefer this to look more like our Associate of Applied Science degrees and have 3 separate ones that correspond to the 3 fields. And I think this will be a welcome change for them and for the students. The next program is splitting the industrial maintenance technology. So originally this had been offered as 1 degree program, but it has again attracted more specialization. And so those particular fields that would be split out are mechatronics, plastics engineering technology, CNC machining, and welding technology. The existing program in industrial maintenance technology would be taught out, so students would go into one of the new programs. Last of the substantive changes is an aviation maintenance technology change. This is related to growth and partnerships that Southern Union has been pursuing with Auburn and the Aviation Center that's based in Auburn. Currently, they offer airframe technology as part of their aviation maintenance technology program. And they would be looking to retain that program, but also have the second partner program that we do see in other community colleges for power plants. So the students would be able to complete both of those associated FAA certified concentrations to be aviation maintenance technicians. You'll also see, and we don't have them up here on the screen, but notification only. They, at the same time as they wanted to do the substantive changes, we said, well, let's clean up anything else that's going on in the inventory. So there are a few SIP changes, additions, subtractions of short-term certificates that would all normally be done as an information item. And in this case, we just thought you would like to see the full range of inventory changes. So there is a representative from Southern Union State here if you all have questions about the changes they're making. And staff is recommending approval for this substantive modification.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries. Thank you, Dr. McGill. The next item is item number 9, presented by Dr. McGill. Approval of service areas for senior institutions and 2-year institutions.
Excellent. Let me show you all the map. There's a lot going on the maps. I promised that I would come back to you all about service areas when we approved the changes to off-campus site policy, and there was a repeal of the the attachments. Hopefully this is ringing a bell. So now we are doing the process that we said we were going to do, which was the commission would approve the service areas for the senior institutions or universities and the 2-year institutions. And these will be posted on our website. And this also helps give institutions guidance about serving their regions and growing into off-campus sites in their service areas and the kinds of collaboration and coordination that's needed outside the service area. So on the left side of the screen, you see senior institutions or universities. The colors, of course, there's a lot of blue and a lot of red. So it's sometimes a little bit hard to see which institutions. And then the striped areas are where you have multiple institutions whose service areas are overlapping. These service areas for the senior institutions are unchanged from what has been in operation since 2007, which was the last time there had been a kind of convening about service areas and policies for institutions. So there should be no surprises for anyone involved with the service areas. On the right side of your screen, you're seeing the 2-year institution service areas. Back when the commission last heard about the service areas for 2-year institutions, which was 2007, there were other community colleges in existence. There have since been mergers, consolidations, and service areas have continued to be updated based on offerings that are capable for each community college. And so this map has been approved in 2022 by the Alabama Community College System Board. And AIC is bringing forward the map that they have approved and are currently using for commission approval as well. You'll see that there is also a table where these visual representations have been translated into a table that's based on counties and partial counties. And so this should hopefully help make it easy to see which counties are being served by which institutions. The new policy on service areas does require that all geographic areas of the state are served by at least one university and one community college that is geographically proximate. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that Auburn University and the University of Alabama have a statewide service area. So what you see on the map is a representation of their geographically proximate counties, but they do have a statewide remit that allows them to create off-campus sites or programs throughout the state. So with that, staff is happy to take questions, and we are recommending approval of the new service area, the new existing service areas.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. The chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments, questions for Dr. McGill? All in favor of approving, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. McGill. All right, item D on our agenda includes 5 information items. The information items 1 through 5 are normally accepted or not accepted by the commission as a whole. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the items collectively.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The information items are accepted. Our final decision, item E, will be presented by Ms. Takina Jones. Preliminary approval of administrative procedures for the new chapter 300-4-15 Alabama Law Enforcement Officers Family Scholarship. Everyone should have had time to review this item sent under a separate cover email. Ms. Jones, we'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, and before Ms. Jones speaks, I was going to mention that the legislation did not pass. What we're trying to do is actually go ahead and build the administrative code for this so that if we can get it passed earlier in the session for next year, then we can go ahead and implement it at a time period quicker. Since a lot of people really anticipated that it would be successful. And I think it was at the cusp of being one of the things that was approved in the legislature. There is strong support for this. Ms. Jones will sort of give us the details on what the program does and how it's going to work. But it's not something that's going to be implemented instantly this year. It's really designed to expedite the process later on.
Excellent.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. The purpose of this scholarship is to provide tuition and required educational expenses for eligible dependents of qualifying Alabama law enforcement officers attending in-state accredited post-secondary institutions. Amount awards: full-time students attending a university can receive up to $3,000 per term, and students attending a community college can receive up to $1,500 per term. Part-time students will be prorated. Eligible recipients are natural or adopted children under 27 years of age, current or surviving spouses. Recipients must be Alabama residents for at least 2 past years, not eligible for other police officer survivors educational assistance, and must have a completed FAFSA on file with the institution they're attending. Requirements for continued eligibility: must maintain full-time Alabama residency, meet satisfactory academic progress, and complete the degree within 66 months of being approved for the program. Qualified law enforcement officers must be certified by the Alabama Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission, employed full-time for at least 7 years at one agency, or at least 12 continuous years across multiple agencies in the state of Alabama, must not have been terminated for disciplinary reasons. Eligible institutions: accredited public or private vocational schools, technical schools, community junior colleges, or universities in the state of Alabama. Approved programs: for credit or non-credit workforce training, certificates, associate's or bachelor's degrees. Staff recommends the preliminary approval of this program.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. You're welcome. Chair will entertain a motion for preliminary approval of the staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All in favor of approving, say aye. All opposed, like sign. The preliminary approval for this chapter is approved. Thank you again, Ms. Jones. All right, Commissioners, before we adjourn, I would like to again thank the University of South Alabama for their hospitality and hosting our meeting today and our dinner and tour last night. Again, the spirit of this campus is palpable and something very impressive, and we're so grateful to have spent some time with you all getting to see that firsthand. If there's no other business to come before the commission, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.